Spox are a leading UK and now global company providing custom brand kits, whether that is clothing or socks. They are with you every single step of the way by bringing your idea to light. They exclusively work with fitness communities, business communities in the UK and worldwide. To check out everything that they do, head over to www.spox.uk.
And to your point, Luke, yes, I coach the whole person because, that is who
Love
we
it.
are. That's how we navigate lives. And what that has looked like for me is helping people to figure out what their purpose is, to learn and live through their values, to embody their identity, align with courage, and then really ripple their impact. I call that the clear method.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. I am your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I have an international guest joining us today from the United States of America. I was actually saying Maryland, like the Maryland cookies, but it's Maryland. We're in the Eastern. Tanesha's laughing at me because it was just like, sorry, it's my accent. I mean, I know obviously Americans can sort of try and pronounce English words as well. It's quite fun. But look, I'm super excited to have her on just because, she said earlier, which I think was great because I was sort of getting to know, obviously I know she's a life coach, just to put that straight out there, but she said she coaches the whole person. And actually, in my whole time of interviewing people on this episode, I've had a few life coaches I've spoken to, and they've never really sort of said, I coach the whole person. So we're going to sort of delve into that, but we're going to go through her story. She has been in employed roles, and then she's been laid off. She's had to navigate adversity, go through a lot of challenges, and actually find purpose and meaning again in what it is that she's doing. And that's led her onto breeding her company called Full Out Coaching. So we're going to sort of find out, what does full out mean? Where does that sort of go? And really share the depths of this story, which is going to add so much to this episode. So I'm really excited. Sorry that was a bit long-winded, Tanesha, but I just wanted to put that out there. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Luke. It's so great to be here. I'm so grateful that I get to join on your podcast and share the story and help others navigate what they're navigating, because I'm sure there's similarities between what I've gone through and what they're going to right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think so we'll definitely delve into that, because I think that's going to be sort of really good and gripping for the guys listening in to understand where you are, what kind of got you through. But just to sort of let people know about what your life's like now, what it is that you do day to day, what do you sort of specifically help people with? That would be really helpful for the people to get to know you a little bit more.
So my company is called Full Out Coaching, and to your point, Luke, yes, I coach the whole person because that is who we are. That's how we navigate lives. And what that has looked like for me is helping people to figure out what their purpose is, to learn and live through their values, to embody their identity, align with courage, and then really ripple their impact. I call that the clear method. And it's been something that I help people do. I help people figure out their lives. And some of the people that I really appreciate working with most are those multi-passionate individuals, those ones that probably have a lot going on. They might have their full-time role. They might have transitioned out of an executive leadership role, getting laid off like I did previously, and they might have multiple passions, multiple side gigs, and they're just trying to figure out, how can I bring this all together in my life? So I do a lot of coaching with them. I also do some leadership development and training courses with companies, with students, as well as speaking engagements and writing too. So really it's all about taking all of my gifts and all of my experiences and utilizing them to serve others is how I spend my life on a day-to-day basis. So I'm super fulfilled, and the chance to help people get to that, their version of it, whatever that looks like, is such a gift.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And obviously, again, like multiple sort of passions there, you're bringing it together. You, like I say, you're coaching the whole person from, I guess there's so many sort of strings to the bow that you sort of have to work on, but understand it's a process. It's not just going to, because obviously we live in that sort of world, isn't it, where it's instant, quick. And obviously something you shared there, what's really stood out to me was that, listen, if you really want coaching full out, like depth, we've got to work. We've got to start somewhere and build it up a little bit. Now, for you, where you said like the gift that you're giving back to somebody, obviously you're helping them. When did you truly know for yourself, Tanesha, that you had this gift to sort of help people on a deeper level?
I really, if I look back on it, I feel like it's been kind of a through line throughout my career and throughout my life. I've been in so many moments where I love salsa dancing and bachata dancing. Like I'll be like waiting on the dance floor and somebody will just come up to me and just share their life, share what's happening with them, share their secrets. Like I know so many things about random strangers at this point. So I feel like it's kind of always been something that has consistently occurred for that piece. But then when I look through my career as well, like I started in professional theater as a stage manager, and I'm part of the union. And as a stage manager, you're leading individuals, you're bringing teams together, you're making certain that you're maintaining the vision of the director after they leave, but you're also kind of supporting your cast members and your crew. And then when I transitioned into corporate events with Disney and Under Armour and Salesforce, and I was building teams from scratch, and some of my favorite things were helping those people get to where they wanted to be. I loved creating the events and all of those pieces, and I love a good spreadsheet. My life is built out in spreadsheet form. It's amazing. But really kind of helping to pour into people was something that was just my favorite part about my roles. So when it came time to kind of transition and do my own thing, it was like, how can I kind of take that passion, take the things that I'm recognizing that I'm good at, and seeing that I have this gift of people to be able to kind of throw what's going on in their lives and it not really kind of carry that baggage along with me post session, was something that I just kind of started to realize. So if I can take that and apply it to my business, I knew that I would be on that right track of where I'm supposed to be for my purpose and my assignments.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, obviously some big names that you've sort of sharing there, you know, who you managed to sort of be involved in with the projects. Obviously theatre, I know you sort of, you know, shared about that. I mean, again, you spoke about like the creativity and flow of it. And obviously it's sort of like, even though you was in these moments where you was employed, you'd gathered a lot of experience and a lot of skill sets, and you started, again, if people are just coming up to you and start sharing their life story, then, you know, obviously that already in itself obviously shows that people are comfortable to be open to you. So for you, was there, you know, through, I mean, just so people understand a little bit more, how long was you employed for? If you think about the duration of your life, how long was that?
Goodness, my first theater role, like post college. So like we're looking at, oh my goodness, like 11-ish years. I was employed through various ways, but I've been laid off multiple times, Luke. And like I've had contracts in multiple times. So there's been a lot of rejection throughout this kind of professional career. But again, like to your point, like that experience kind of helped me get to where I needed to be. I needed those experiences to serve others.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's good. So it's like not even that you would change anything through what you've been through, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, that's really interesting, because it's sort of a question that gets, you know, if you could go back in time, would you change anything? And I think obviously where you are now, it's very clear to sort of hear and see that, you know, you wouldn't change anything because it's led you onto this path. But I mean, 11 years being employed, if you was to sort of reflect on the employment sort of journey, what's been one thing that you would say was, if it was a bottleneck or something that held you back? I don't know. Was there anything during that time where you think, gosh, you know, because you're obviously capable of more, you know, you start getting that feeling where you think, I can definitely do more than this, but I'm a bit scared. Yeah. What was that for you in that 11-year period? If there was just one thing that sort of you felt?
I would say probably like my last layoff from Salesforce. Like I really kind of felt like I was where I was meant to be. Like I felt like, you know, that role aligned with a lot of my skill sets. It allowed me to lead and develop individuals and be strategic and creative at the same time. And it also, though, was my first real introduction to coaching. Since I was at a director level, I was eligible to receive an executive coach. So recognizing that this person that was helping me was like an option for me in the future really kind of set up the path to where I am currently. And also just leaning into my faith as well. Like, you know, I started around that time to recognize like I have all these different experiences, all these different passions, but I feel like I can't pour into all of them in this full-time role. So it kind of like just all aligned at the same time, that one moment of receiving that notice of layoff and then kind of utilizing that to extract the data for myself and help me create what I was meant to create in this moment.
Yeah. So that's so great. The fact that obviously you was in this world, it was quite fast paced. Time was probably a little bit strained on you. You know, you have these other. So I guess really then it was sort of you were slowly moving yourself towards setting up your own thing. I guess if you started thinking about these things, was there just through that though? Because obviously I can see it was a blessing for you, really, that this happened. It gave you that sort of push to go after it. Was there any sort of warnings or signal lights through, you know, even if it was Salesforce or the employed roles that sort of given you that I maybe need to consider something else, or I'm not where I want to be. I want to be somewhere else. Because I think a lot of people who's listening into this may be feeling, might even relate to some of these warning signs that you might share with us.
I'd say some of the warnings that if I were to look back throughout my career were feeling like I worked all day and was exhausted. And I know now because I can work all day and I feel fulfilled. So like kind of like seeing the worst ends of things kind of felt like they were signals. Like being in roles and like interacting with leadership, senior leadership sometimes that just felt like your work wasn't appreciated. Like that was also a signal that's like, that's important to me, to feel valued and feel appreciated for the contributions that I'm making. So all these kind of maybe like more negative slants if you had to label it, but of course I see them differently now. Some of those kind of dings along the way made it really imperative, really clear for me to be like, okay, now I know that when I'm creating what's next for me, I want the opposite of what I experienced then.
Yeah, no, I mean, just so we can check it out. Yeah, I think the feeling of like I'm not valued, no matter how much I contribute. Obviously, you know, you work hard, you've got that skill set and value is there, and commitment. It's obviously it wasn't. I guess in a way you didn't feel that it was reciprocated at a place where you felt appreciated.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will relate to that. And I think obviously for you then what, you know, in those moments where that started to happen more, that because, you know, that feeling starts coming in more, doesn't it? It just builds up. It sort of amplifies. You know, it might start out with, oh, I don't feel valued or I don't feel appreciated. And then it sort of just goes away. Then it comes again and then it starts getting you drained then. You start resenting work. You might go, oh, man, I just don't want to go into work today. So what did you start to do for you, Tanesha, that helped with that sort of like either help with that feeling or move you closer towards going into this coaching world?
It definitely was a lot of exploration for myself. A lot of kind of sitting with myself and being like, all right, you know, it's not the whole pie that I don't like. You know, if I were to look at one of the roles, if I were to look at theater, like, all right, which pieces of theater do I really appreciate? Okay, is it the creating? Is it the building the spreadsheets? Is it the strategy? What pieces of this role did I like when I was working at X, Y, and Z? Like, what type of people did I like working with? And really kind of looking at each individual like entity or experience as its own thing and figuring out, all right, which pieces of this really kind of filled me up, made it feel like this is in alignment with the gifts that I have and with who I'm supposed to serve. And then taking that, building it into something that was in alignment with who I was supposed to be was it was a painful journey at times because I didn't really always know where to start. But I know for myself, having coaching, having support, my family is fabulous. My family is there. Of course, my relationship with God. So having that support really kind of allowed me to navigate that change and kind of see, all right, these are the pieces that are important to me. This is how I can utilize this experience and morph it into something that's meant to be.
Yeah, I think what I'm sort of taking away, and thank you for sharing that, by the way, that's really, really great, because I think the thing of sitting with yourself, that pie as well, I mean, pie chart, Put it up, have a look. I mean, obviously you love spreadsheets and sort
Yes.
of, like look at the percentages. Yeah, like I think that's a really good actually way of looking at it. Percentages of the role and the jobs or whatever it is that you do, what it is that you like and what you don't like, and start seeing the odds. What is the percentages looking like? And then obviously I guess it's just sitting with yourself and, like you say, exploring things. Maybe just a little bit of, I might try that, I might try this. And you said about coaching, you said about support. I think that's really key as well, because obviously I'm not too sure what it's like out in the States. I do hear mixed things, but like, for example, in the UK, we're just very reluctant. We're quite close-minded. So we just don't want help. We'd rather just do the research or not the research, or just wait until something bad happens. So obviously, I don't know what, I'm not saying it's the case for everybody. I'm not. I'm just sort of saying as a general rule. And I know some of the guys listening will be like, yeah, Luke, I know what you're talking about. So, where you said earlier about, I did go through painful times because I didn't know where to start. What helped you start? What helped you start to feel that like you're getting somewhere? That you're not stuck anymore? Because I think that's the most common reason, is that people don't go after something because they don't know where to start.
I agree, definitely. Feeling stuck is not a great great feeling at all. And I do feel like it did start for me getting into that clarity, which goes back a little bit to my clear method, like that piece around our values on figuring out what is important to us. Like if we were to extract all these things, like where do they tier up to them? Like, is it joy? Is freedom? Is it, whatever it is, like getting clear on those really kind of helped me move, but also I needed to figure out why I was doing it in the first place. And I think it was a whole shift over many years, really, of it's not really just about me, like it's about other people. And when I started to shift from that mindset of this isn't even for me, this is for other people. Like I probably went through all these rejections, all these experiences for somebody else. It made it easier to just do it. Like I'm stealing from Nike on this, because that's really what it is. Like if you really want to get unstuck, you got to have the clarity. You got to know why you're doing it. You got to know what's important to you, so you know how you're going to do it. But if you can, for me, it was like, if I can shift it from not just on myself, but if I can shift it to like, if I don't do this, somebody else might not thrive. Somebody else might not get to where they're meant to be. Somebody else might still be stuck if I'm sitting here stuck. And that shift and reframe has allowed me to really just do things. Like I'll get up at 5 a.m. because I know like I need to do X, Y, and Z to help somebody else. Like I will show up for a session, even though I'm like, I don't feel so great today, but like, we're just doing it because it's in service of somebody else. It tears up into the reason that we're here on this planet. Luckily, I'm at a point right now that most of the things that I'm doing for my business are in alignment with my values. So these are things that I want to do. So if that kind of all tracks, it's like, all right, we can just do this. We can just serve somebody else because it's all in alignment.
Yeah, that's good. I think in the service part, I did see that when you sort of applied about others and not necessarily about yourself, but I do love the Nike part, just do it. So I want to ask you now, Tanesha, what made you just do it?
I would definitely say realizing that mindset shift really kind of made so many things click into place for me. That like, I'm just doing it for somebody else. Like I'm leveraging all of these things, everything that I've been through to help somebody else. And that makes it feel, in some ways it makes it feel loftier. It definitely makes it feel heavier, because I feel like when we're just doing it for ourselves, like it doesn't have to be great. It can just be bare minimum. It doesn't really kind of have to like make an impact. But now, like when you're trying to help and serve somebody else for it, it's kind of like, all right, the standards are a little bit higher, because this might hinge on them accomplishing what they're meant to accomplish. And I will say, like, there's been so much fulfillment from shifting it from, because I'm an only child. So like there's a lot of selfish tendencies that I've grown up with, and I have divorced parents. So like I've used the 2 Christmases and like giving multiple things. So yes, like it definitely has taken a lot of trial and error and practicing, and I still get it wrong all the time. But like making that shift from like it's not just about me to other people has allowed me to just do things and just make an impact and just contribute and just add value in a way that I wasn't doing before, when it was just solely about myself and my survival and what I want to build for myself. But now it's for other people and it's for God. It's cool.
Yeah, right. I really like that. So talk to me a little bit about it, because this has got me thinking now. So talk to me a little bit about the selfish part then. What was sort of your traits? What do you think now, looking back at maybe the older version of Tanesha, that was selfish, and what did you start to action to change that?
Yeah, I actually think if I were to kind of look at like my earlier spreadsheets of my life, it was kind of like, all right, we got to be director by 30. We have to make 6 figures by 25. We have to have a house by 25. We have to have our second house by 30. Like, it was kind of like, these are just for me. Like, I'm just doing these things for, well, hopefully for like, you know, my cat too. Like he needs a place to live. He needs a place by the beach. Luke, he needs a place by the beach. So it definitely was kind of like, definitely just hit these milestones for myself. And I wasn't really thinking of it like hit these milestones so that maybe I can help somebody else accomplish them. Maybe that I can pave the way a little bit and help them make an easier journey and trajectory than I had previously. It was really just like, let me just go ahead and get my checklist here for myself. And I do feel like that was kind of a reflection of like, of a lot of different things. Like definitely, you know, my parents wanted me to kind of be independent and be able to be successful in the way that probably more like a societal way, not really in alignment with your purpose type of way. But now that shift has kind of like helped me see a little bit clearer what the possibilities are when I apply it to other people, helping and serving other people, not just checking it off for myself.
Yeah, that's a really, really good sort of thing that you shared there. And you know, obviously the guys sort of listening to this as well, I think the way you sort of shared that, the perspective on it, I think is really, really important, because obviously you've shared, I know you sort of said it before about the linear way. And I mean, I was the same, you know, I can relate to the sort of, by 30, I want to be a millionaire, or yeah, you want all these things. And like you say, it is quite selfish, the way that you're sort of acting on that, the way that you would probably show up to the world thinking that. Obviously now you're sort of, I mean, I don't know whether I'm wrong in saying this, or maybe a different way, but what I see now in what you're sharing is, it is for others, but I guess it's sort of like a bit of a team thing as well, though. I sort of seem like you kind of shoulder to shoulder. It doesn't necessarily seem just about them, if that makes sense. It is about both of you on a journey together.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I loved how you put that, because I think about it in like coaching sessions sometimes, especially as a coach. You know, we're showing up non-judgmental for that other person. We're asking questions. We're helping them dive deep. But sometimes like their takeaways kind of like are what we need in that moment too. I feel like it's just kind of a mutual way to grow together. And I think that is where I am as well, because now, like, yes, I'm definitely a growth oriented person. Like I'm always trying to learn something new and reading something, usually multiple books at the same time. So definitely my growth helps me, but it also helps somebody else. So it's definitely a mutual way of how that works. And I realized that where I have been and where I'm going, I definitely couldn't get here by myself. Like I had support along the way, and now I get to still have that support and be a support for somebody else. So it definitely feels like we're kind of like in this, have you ever played that game in a gym class where you're kind of like, I don't know, all together and kind of trying to move together in a space?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
I don't remember the name of that one, but like that's kind of how it feels in so many different ways, that we are all moving together. We're all kind of like working towards our assignments, working for our purposes and fulfilling them while also helping others at the same time. Like everyone's covered at the end of the day.
Yeah, I like that. Especially sort of where you said there in the moment of a coaching is sort of conversation, isn't it? So it's sort of like, even if it was just a conversation with somebody, you could be talking, again, non-judgmental, and they might be sharing something back to you. And again, it's that human connection on, oh, I really need that. So you, yeah, like you say, it's a mutual benefit in that moment. I think that's, I wanted to say that because I think obviously today we're sort of in a world where we're sort of conditioned in a way to maybe avoid conversation with another human being. It's sort of very, like we say, we're in the world of social media, texting, whatever, emailing bots, all that kind of stuff. But just from your own experience so far in life, and maybe you might recall an experience here, Tanesha, what would you say is sort of the main reason that you feel that people would rather go out on their own? Because we've spoken about, like, you've done the selfish part, now you're teaming up and the fulfillment side. I just wondered, like, from your own experience, what that could be.
One more time for the question, please.
Yeah, so what do you feel like is the main reason people decide to go out on their own first? So as in just say, oh no, I'd rather just do it on my own before even, acquiring help.
I'd say I feel like that happens for a lot of different reasons. For what I've witnessed, especially having the chance to work with entrepreneurs, is that sometimes, especially like for myself, I felt like I didn't really have another choice. Like I had to kind of strike it on my own. At that point, it kind of felt like that was what was next. After the layoff, I was interviewing for like all the great snazzy companies, and like then things would weirdly happen. Like the job would just disappear. Was talking with one of the FANG companies, and that person actually wound up being a coach internally. So it just kind of felt like I was just moving towards that. So for me, it really felt like I didn't have a choice. Like the roles they weren't coming in a way that they were supposed to. Like we would get all the way to the end of the round and then they'd be like, oh yeah, the role doesn't exist anymore. So I do feel like sometimes the circumstances just kind of set us up for that. And I would also say sometimes we recognize that there's just a need for it. Potentially it just doesn't exist just yet. And we recognize that, hey, like we have these skills and these experiences to help and support in a new capacity. But then when it gets to the other side of asking people for help too, because I kind of heard that in the question too.
Yeah.
I know I struggled with that a lot. I don't know if it's a zodiac thing. I hear Aquariuses are like this. I don't know if that's true or not. But I feel like, we either think no one wants to support or that they don't have the ability to support us in this capacity. We are kind of, maybe we inflate our expertise a little bit. So we think, oh, we have this, we can navigate this is fine. Don't need anybody else to kind of be in this. And I would also feel like it's maybe a pride and ego thing too. That's like, I want to be the one that did this all by myself. And I've learned, especially doing a lot of leadership training. Most recently, I was training some students how to work in teams, that like that diversity of thought, those different perspectives make something such a more beautiful and unique finished product if you do kind of put yourself out there and ask for that help.
Yeah, I mean, there's one, thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that people hearing this will definitely pick out one of those. I think the one that sort of stands out to me from my own experience is the pride and the ego. I think that's definitely something for me. And I don't know if that's more of a male thing or not, but I think, the ego, leaving it at the door, dropping the ego. I think for me, I just thought, I don't need somebody to sort of advise me on this. I know what I'm doing, sort of thing. Yeah. But I heard it. I think this is from an African proverb. I think it is. It's sort of like, you can go far on your own, but you can go further together, or something like that. I think I sort of got that from, and I've always sort of always like, I guess I looked at it and was like, yeah, kind of, what's that all about? But then over time, again, I work in sort of, like I say, the teams, like I always worked in teams even from sport, but I really, really get that. And I think just the way that you've sort of shared a few more reasons, I think, like you say, because there's so many different ones, I think it's good for people to understand why they go out on their own. But I think you've also said that you wouldn't be where you are right now if it wasn't for that support and having that bit of teamwork. So I think that's also good to sort of share as well, because I think that was really good, because I know, for example, I wouldn't be sat here right now having this conversation with you, if it weren't for having support.
Yes,
so
definitely.
I wanted to ask you, because this is good, because obviously you're now in the world of entrepreneurship. Obviously, you've experienced that anyway when you was doing the leadership roles. What has been the hardest part of being in the world of running your own business, if you could pick one thing?
I would say the hardest part, it probably kind of relates a little bit to your last question, would be about navigating the rejection piece of it. So I've seen this throughout my career, but it's been different on the side of like being an entrepreneur as well. And there's a lot of rejection that goes on, from like pitching to be on podcasts, to speak at events, to work with clients.
Absolutely.
For posting something and then you get like one like.
Yep.
It feels like rejection is the thing that rejection and probably fear, like combined, are the things I feel like I'm navigating the most as an entrepreneur. And I've had a chance I coach a lot of people on this, and I've done a lot of self-work on this, and I started writing a book about it as well, about navigating rejection. And the reframe that I've been offering is that what was rejected was our offer, not us, not our business, but whatever offer we put out. We put out an offer to work with somebody. We put out an offer to collaborate, and that was rejected, not us. So continuously not taking that personally has been something that I've continuously had to navigate as an entrepreneur, because if you don't get that right, I feel like then we don't offer. We don't put anything out there, and then people can't find us, and then we can't help people, and then we can't make money. So really kind of continuously to navigate that fear and rejection has been something that's been probably the most challenging piece.
I was going to say, I mean, I can agree to that. And I'm sure people get that even in their employed role. But obviously, like I say, running your own business, it does become more apparent, especially when you're reliant on, business and revenue coming in and stuff like that, especially with whatever service you deliver or product it is. So what did you do to, I know you've reframed it and stuff, but obviously this is where you're at now, and I think it's great. You've sort of learned to build something to help you deal with it differently. How did you deal with it to start off with? When it sort of, when you started going in business, and maybe, I don't know, were there any sort of thoughts of like, maybe I can't do this, maybe I'm not made out to sort of do this coaching because I keep getting rejected, or... Yeah, I'm just curious.
There was definitely some self-doubt, some imposter syndrome. There's not, especially when you look at certified coaches, especially when I went through my training, there weren't many that looked like me or were my age. And a lot of people are a lot older, way more experience, maybe on like a different career track and such. So definitely kind of feeling like, who am I to help people figure out their lives? Who am I to kind of share these stories and share these potential reframes to help people? And it was really sometimes challenging to even kind of post things like, who am I to talk about these things? Who am I to help people in this regard? And again, I'm so grateful for the support and my family, especially my mom. She was like, I mean, Tanesha, like, You've had probably like 2,000 job applications rejected. You've been laid off so many times. Like, I think you can talk about rejection. You've coached like, almost 200 people, like lots of hours. Like, you can coach people. You've been doing it. So I'm so grateful for my friends and my family that have supported me in that capacity to help me kind of push back some of that negative talk and the imposter syndrome, because it does creep up. Because there are people, yes, that are more experienced, that have more hours, that have more training, more education. But there's only one you. There's only one me. And somebody needs whatever you're putting out there.
Yeah, I think that last little bit there is golden, because, yeah, there is only one you. You're unique in your own way, even if like the title itself states, like you say, life coach, leadership coach, mindset coach, whatever that may be. People will obviously like, no, trust you and would want to invest in you for you. And I think as well, obviously you back it up. I mean, obviously imposter syndrome is quite common in business, I think, and entrepreneurship, because obviously I guess the world of social media can show a completely different story to what's actually going on behind closed doors. But for you then, with sort of these multiple rejections, maybe thousands of rejections, what kept you going?
I would say the things that kept me going throughout this has been keeping the why at the forefront, the service and the other people. as well as seeing the rejections as something that's going to get me closer to where I'm supposed to be. So I knew that rejections, those no's, there's things that you can extract from that. You can take data, you can take some gratitude, there's some learnings that come from it, and you can take that if you choose to and apply it to whatever's next. So, and just keeping in mind that, like, again, the offer was rejected, not me. That means we can refine the offer. We can make that something new. And the fact that I get to create something new, that I have some ownership and some control over it, like that is something that allows me to just do it again. To go ahead and put the offer again to the next person, to who it's maybe supposed to be with, or the timing that it's supposed to happen. And that keeps me going continuously. And also, you know, it's not always rejection too. There's definitely an acceptance around the corner eventually. So we just got to keep going until we find it.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's just good to hear it from your view, Tanesha, because obviously, you know, I mean, that's probably, I know from my own point, I feared rejection. You know, I had a lot with my sport and stuff, and it sort of got me fearing then more to go out and reach out to people and ask those questions for a period of time. And I think there might be a lot of people listening to this. I know, but having spoken with also some of the audience, that's probably one thing that they're probably fearing the most. I mean, obviously fearing failure if they sort of go into this dream business role that they want to build, create, whatever that is. But they also fear rejection, because what they do know they have to do is sort of get out in front of people, because maybe at the minute they're sort of in an admin role or a role where, you know, they can, I don't want to say hide, but, you know, they can kind of just hide, you know, like get through it. And obviously now they sort of, you know, I've got to get out to people, I've got to have conversations, or, oh no, what do I say? Where do I start? You know, all those things sort of come to mind.
Yes, all of those things and more.
Yeah, and I think just how you said about, you know, reframing it, keeping in alignment with the why, obviously the values part. So let's say someone here was listening today and going, right, okay, so I've never really, because I know there was a moment that I'd never done my values. It was never something you got taught at school. It was never something that anyone would really talk about. Like, what's your values? Tanisha, you know, what's your values, Luke? So if someone was listening, you know, and here today and was like, I like that. What do you mean? What do you mean your values? What do you mean sort of like your why? Where would somebody, like, what would you say would be the best place to start for somebody if they was like, yeah, I want to sort of discover my why, or I want to start understanding my values a little bit more?
Yes, definitely. This is something that I have a chance to explore with many of my clients, working through the CLEAR method, and the C is about purpose and that L is about your values. During the first session that I have with clients, that's actually something that we do. We do a values exercise, and we explore what they actually are. If it's one word, a phrase, however, just to kind of capture what is most important to you and what helps you, what framework are you using to help you make decisions. So I know for myself, like, freedom's very important to me, joy and creativity, making a difference. So I know that, like, if something comes across my table and it's like, here's an opportunity, and if it doesn't check those boxes, those things that are important to me, then I know this is something that's probably something I shouldn't take as an opportunity. And I feel like for individuals that are kind of just starting out, there's a couple of books that I've also read on this too. One of them is called The Values Factor. And he has a whole process where you actually kind of list through a whole bunch of things that are important to you,
Okay.
things that kind of spark joy. And it's a journey. So, but again, your values kind of change. So you might have to kind of reevaluate what's important to you now in terms of making your decisions. Might be different 10 years down the road when something changes, when your family dynamic changes, when a life situation comes up.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, it can change. I think, like you say, it's a process. What maybe, obviously you've got spreadsheets from, like, you know, this is what works for you, like spreadsheets from your old version of you and these redefined versions, and then, you know, a higher version, a better version, whatever that may be for you. You've sort of, I guess, documented that. You know, you've got the data, you've got the evidence. And I think just do it, you know, just start it, just do it, start having a look, explore, see what comes up. This is just what I'm taking from sort of what you're sharing, which I think is great, because obviously that's a good grounding piece. I feel that's probably a good foundation piece to start this journey of, right, okay, so if I am in this place where I'm not enjoying it, So if I'm spending most of my time at work, but it's a job that I really hate and it's not helping me feel fulfilled, if you're talking about your values, then this is a good starting point to start to go from, I guess.
That is so true. And same for your purpose as well, like your assignments. And I personally feel like we, depending on where you are with your faith, we probably all have like the same purpose, but our assignments are different. So how they show up is going to be different throughout your life too. I feel like there's multiple things that we're meant here to accomplish and to serve others alongside. And I think with that purpose piece of it, if we can look at it from like, all right, how does this impact others? Like what gifts, experiences, skills do I have that I'm just so good at? And how can I take those and help somebody else? I think if we can look from that lens of it, that really helps to kind of illuminate what our assignments probably are and what our purpose is for being here.
Yeah, I can see that you're sort of removing that pressure from what it is that you do in a way. Like you're not sort of putting any sort of direct stigma towards it. You sort of, you're in flow, I guess. You sort of sound like you're in this, creative flow. Obviously, that's what you've sort of done through your theatre directing and all that kind of, it's like not done a full circle, but it's sort of, weaved in and out. And then it's sort of now you've got to this, not even final destination, because it's a journey, like you say, life's a journey. So for you then, I just want to ask you this question, because obviously I know when you sort of step into business, this is something that comes out quite often from what I've heard from feedback is like, oh, now that you run your own business, you must have lots of time, you must have lots of freedom. Oh, it must feel so relaxing to sort of break away from this 9 till 5, What's been your view on that? What's been sort of your journey so far, if you was to sort of look at that?
Yeah, that is not it.
Yeah, that is definitely not it. Yeah.
No, I know. For myself, and this is actually probably from the start of the year, I realized that I was putting in easily 12 plus hours a day. I wasn't really taking days off, and it's so challenging. I had a conversation with my mom. I was like, can you burn out doing things that you love to do? And she was like, yes, you can. That was like really part of it. Like I was so fulfilled in everything that I was doing business wise that it would be like, all right, I don't really need a break, but I do need to go to the restroom. So that will be my break for the day. And then I'll come back to the office and do more work. And I feel like it's probably sometimes more challenging as an entrepreneur to have those boundaries, because usually you're doing something you like to do, you're passionate about, you can see the impact that it's going to make on other people, on yourself too. And it was really a struggle for me to kind of like, all right, let's stop working. And I got some coaching on it. I had some wonderful coaches that helped, and they were like, God rested, you need to take a day too. So I was like, all right, cool. I did that. So that was like the first thing. I was like, all right, Saturdays, we don't work. Saturdays, we do not work. And then it's just kind of been a scale back approach since then. So it's like, all right, we're going to get to 8-7 hours, and we can do that. If we can be strategic about like what we can automate, what we can delegate, then I've gotten a lot closer to 7 or 8 hours most days. I'm getting there, Luke. I'm almost there all the time. I also recognize for like my energy level too. Like, so I don't coach on Thursdays. So I try not to hold space like that for others on Thursday, because I recognize like we need to rest. We need a break. We need a flow that really works in alignment with the impact we're trying to make. So it's definitely a progress. And I think it will change. I would love to get to one of those, the 4-hour work week. I love that book. We will get there one day, but not yet.
Yeah. No, but that's brilliant. And the fact that you recognized it, the fact that you'd spoken to your mum about it, the fact that you was just honest, hey, listen, it is not that, you've not got freedom. You are practically on the verge of burnout. You're doing 12-hour days. It's a lot, right? You're just in it. You're just completely in the business all the time. Obviously now you're sort of drawing it back. You're getting close to where you want to be. So this sort of leads me on to the next question, because I think, I'm sure you can relate to this, Tanesha, based on what you just shared there. Is, like I say, we can very much be so engrossed in our business because it's our passion, because we love it, that we sort of lose who we are, outside of work. Like, what does Tanesha love doing? What's your that's sort of the reason why I decided to create this platform was like beyond the boardroom, beyond the workplace. Who are you outside of your business? What do you like getting up to? So for you, what do you love getting up to? What sort of on your rest days, what sort of re-energizes you? What gives you sort of joy and fulfillment?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. And that is something that I have a chance to work through with my clients, because I had to work through this myself. And that's the E in the clear methods, like embody your identity. And it's all about, I feel like sometimes, especially at least in the US, they kind of like push you to follow your passion to a job. Sometimes like your hobby, they're like, maybe that hobby can become a job or something like that. And like, if you're not getting paid for it, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And I do not like that approach at all. I'm a creative person, so I love to paint. I haven't sold any paintings or anything, but like, I love to do that. I love to create salsa and bachata dancing. I do that pretty regularly. Usually every day I'm reading in the bathtub, which is always nice. Spending time with my cat and my family. We love going to I love a good speakeasy and winery and cocktails. So that's another benefit of being an only child. I have so many hobbies, so many things to keep me occupied even now. And I love doing them with other people when I can, but I also will go by myself as well. So really and I think we need those things, those elements outside of work to become that full person, that whole person that I'm trying to coach. It's all of those things combined that make us who we are, that helps us embody our identity. So trying new things, trying new restaurants, exposing ourselves expands our perspectives so that we can show up fully.
Yeah, exposing yourself to show up fully. I got that. I felt that one. That was that's powerful, to be honest. I think people was like, okay, because the thing is I don't, again, this might be, like, say, coming from, like, say, you shared about the USA thing, sort of like, yeah, your hobby goes to a job. Obviously, we're in a world now where any hobby can be a business, but like a self-employed business or an entrepreneur business, it's great because there's the sort of accessibility we have. But what I find is that so many people, I don't want to say that this sort of, I mean, when they get to 25, 26, they settle down, you get the house, get the kids, whatever. It's as though, like, life's done. They've made it. They've got the badge. I'm set for life. But then that's when they become the most unhappiest. Because it's sort of, they've got to that place where everything, maybe it's just linear. Maybe like the next little checkpoint might be, whatever. But I think where you said about exposing yourself, I think even if, like, and this is what I'm sort of taking away, this is just my mind going all over here, is like where you had said about trying different things, showing up on your own. I think that's really key for anyone that, even if they're in this place now where, maybe they're a little bit sort of stuck, not sure, doesn't have to be like going to a business thing. It might be just going to do something on your own, and maybe then the idea clicks from that, if that makes sense.
Yes, I love that. Yes, that happens all the time. Like, our minds need those breaks. We need something new. We need to travel sometimes to maybe solve a problem that we might be having at work, something in our business. Like, yes, those moments are crucial to give it a break, set it down, and then maybe come back to it.
Yeah, I think that again, slowing down, coming back to it is so key. Just coming away, stepping away a little bit. So, for you then, with your obviously week, you have your, like you said on Thursdays now, you sort of don't coach, you sort of hold that space a little bit. Do you schedule in your calendar like time off, or your salsa dancing or painting, or do you do that like you would do with work, or do you sort of just leave it as an open space? I'm just curious.
Leave it as an open space. I feel like that decision's more in alignment with my freedom value. Because, like, what if I don't feel like painting during that break? So yeah, usually that's pretty fluid. Of course, yoga classes take place when they take place, and the dancing does take place when it takes place. But usually it's multiple times during the week. So I just kind of let it ebb and flow as we need to.
Yeah, no, that's good though. I'm really glad that you shared that, because I'm somebody that sort of, if I don't put it in, if I don't put something in that's sort of away from what I will fill it with work, I'm sort of on the other, I'm sort of bad. That's sort of like a bad habit. Like, I'm not saying I have to say, oh, I'm doing this, but it might be, coffee with Abby or something, my partner and stuff like that, or it, might be spend time with Remy. So like for me, for example, like a Thursday morning from wake up till early afternoon, I am spending time with Remy, and there's been multiple, like for example, challenges that's come my way where someone's wanted my time, set up a call, even a client wanting to sign up, and I'm like, no, you know what I mean? It's like I am spending time with my daughter. So I don't know. It's just like that's me. I can easily just let boundaries go. But for you, it's also important. Like, again, this is you, for people to understand that you can just have that space and you not feel pressured to sort of follow something like that space is just recovery anyway.
I love that there's so many different ways that people can fill that in how they see fit.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to know then, because obviously you spoke about the freedom value. I can see that's sort of quite a big thing for you. What does freedom look like to you? What does it look like, feel like, and mean to you?
For me, it means that freedom means that I'm in alignment with who I am, that I'm showing up authentically, that I'm interacting with others in a way that is in alignment with who I am. It means that freedom to fulfill my purpose, my assignments here. It also looks like freedom to try new things, to fail, to get rejected, to put myself out there. Like, I feel like I have a little bit of control in that because I'm the one that's free to do it. It also looks like eventually financial freedom too. Like, I'm definitely on that fire path, trying to get to the financial independence, retiring early.
Yes.
So yes, that's built into that space. And it feels like, I actually had this come up in a call, in a coaching session, and she said it feels like riding a Vespa through the streets of Italy. I did get my motorcycle license, so maybe not a Vespa, maybe like a Ninja Kawasaki. That'd be nice. And just kind of going through and feeling like, the sky's the limit, and where I'm going is where I'm meant to be, and who I'm serving is who I'm meant to be, and all of that's wrapped into freedom. So if something aligns with that, then I know, like, yeah, we're feeling great. We're in the right spot.
Do you know what? That way you just spoken about the bike driving through, motorcycling through, I think is brilliant. And I love the way, you sort of tapped onto the financial, the location, a bit of time and stuff like that. But I just think it's great to hear it. Do you know what? It's sort of like, you sort of know when someone's values so aligned because they just say it with ease. So like the way you shared that, it was sort of just flowed. Sometimes, if you ask someone a question, what does, I mean, obviously it's not the value, but what does freedom mean to you? Like, but again, it's going back to that foundation part. Don't worry about trying to jump to step 10. It's just finding out what it means to you right now. So if you was to sort of check in with where you are right now, Tanesha, not saying how far, but like in terms of like making it tangible, where would you say you are on that path of achieving the full out freedom?
I definitely feel like I'm going towards it. Of course, like, I always want things to happen like right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be great. But this is all a journey. It's part of the process. It's part of the plan. And I'm just so incredibly grateful that I get to embody that value on a day-to-day basis. So many of my things that I'm working on for my business, that I'm creating and doing for other people, are alignment with that value. There's just so much gratitude that makes it seem like, all right, it will be here. It will look how I think it will look. And then it's going to change. It's going to look differently. It's going to manifest in a different fashion after we achieve that piece of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. The main thing I think really is you're on the path. You're there. You're on there. You're getting closer. Obviously, yes, it could twist, it could turn, it could change, but I think it's great that sort of you're showing up, like you say, even when you don't feel like you want to, and you're there, and you're living the full out coaching. So just this sort of business that you're in now. What does full out coaching mean?
Yeah. So I actually I'm a trained dancer. So I danced professionally all the way up until the pandemic, actually. And in dance, there are, during rehearsal process, there are usually two ways to perform a piece. If you're rehearsing like a specific piece, you can mark it, which is kind of just like going through the motions, just like hitting the steps, kind of no real like emotion behind it, no performance quality that you would put on a stage, versus full out. And full out is definitely like you are hitting every single step, like your face is lit up, like you could put that onto the stage right now and the audience would walk away with something. You leave it all on the dance floor when you go full out. And when I think about that for full out coaching, that is what I'm hoping individuals are able to do, that they're able to live and lead and thrive full out. And that looks different for every person. One person's full out is going to look different than my full out. And that's what's so beautiful about it. But if you are doing it in a fashion that leaves it all, that you are putting everything in your essence and you're showing up authentically in every single capacity of your life, and you are in alignment with your purpose and your values, and you're embodying your identity, and you're facing fear and rejection head on, and you're rippling your impact for others, however that looks for you, that's full out. And it's a privilege to help people get to that version of it for themselves.
Yeah, I love that. The fact that it's come from something as well that you've done for a time, you know, the dancing piece, how you've been able to take that part of it and then move it into something that you're sort of passionate about, life's experience. I really like that. And I love the meaning behind the full out as well, because I think it just, playing full out, being present, you know, being who you are, expressing yourself, it all very much, it comes out, it shines through what you've sort of been sharing on our episode today. But unfortunately, we're getting towards the end. We're getting towards the end of the episode, which I feel this was actually quite a nice little bit to, you know, get towards the end. But this is a question that I love to ask every guest. And I want to sort of hear your views on it, your perspective to the answer. So, Tanesha, what does mastering your life mean to you?
I feel like mastering your life is doing everything full out. Doing it in a way that resonates and is true with who you are, so that you can help and serve other people and making it a positive impact throughout the world. I think that's really what it's all about. And I'm so grateful that we had a chance to discuss this all today.
Yeah, I know, it's brilliant. Honestly, I love that. It links back to what you're saying, going all out, living life, you know, living it, being true to yourself. Love that. So just as a little bit to finish off on, where can, if people are here sort of listening, because I'm sure they will be, they want to find you, they want to connect with you, maybe even spark up a conversation, where would be the best place to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I am on Instagram, Tanesha Moody, or Full Out Coaching as well. Also on LinkedIn too. And I'm here. I also have a website, so feel free to connect on all of those. I'm happy to connect with y'all and help you live full out if that's what you're looking to do, or just share your rejection stories. I love hearing those. Feel free to pass those along too. But yes, I'm on there on social media.
Thank you. No, and this obviously will make sure that every single one of those sort of avenues are in the show notes. But look, final thing from me, Tanesha, and we'll thank Kiwi as well for being present, because I saw him sort of come across the screen a few times. Thank you for your time. It's been a really great conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Luke, really appreciate it, you having me on the show, and I'm so grateful that we had this conversation today.